Hello, it's Jane here from JD Paper Crafts. I've been asked to make a video for one of these baubles. Now, I first saw this from a German demonstrator, Jana Muller, who did a video in German, which is what I've followed for this. I don't speak German, but she very kindly put her measurements and up on the post, and I could see what she was doing from the rest of it. I think Paper Pixie also did one. Jana's was in metric measurements, and Paper Pixie did one for this size, approximately this size of bauble, in imperial measurements. But I've changed it to do a smaller bauble that you can get from a 6 by 6 inch piece of paper, or less than that actually. So I'm going to show you how to do this one today. So you start with a piece of designer series paper of 6 inches by 3 3/8 of an inch, and you want to score that on the long side. Just try to make sure I'm in shot and you can see that. At 1/2 inch, 2 1/8, 3 1/4, 4 7/8, and 5 1/2. If you want to work this same size in metric, take a 6 by 6 inch piece of paper, which would be 15.2 centimetres, I think, and make it 9 centimetres in width, or in this case length, and score at 1.5 centimetres, 5.7, 8.7, 12.9 and 14.4 centimetres. You would have to do that on a trimmer like that rather than a school board, because the measurements aren't that nice. Okay. So next thing you want to do is to get some good adhesive tape. If you look, I hope you can see my score lines. I have a score line there, 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 there and there. So at this end I've got 2 narrow sections, so you want the tape to go across that end narrow section. You don't need to fold these score lines at all yet. Well, in fact, you don't need to score these score lines at all. They're merely for markers. You then want to cut that piece down into 3 sections. So far it's 3 3/8. I want to make 3 sections of 1 1/8. So just make sure that's straight. Cut it down. I now have 3 pieces, hopefully identical. You now need to take something like a circular die. This one is, I think it's a 5 1/2 centimetre. It's 2 1/8 in width, which is just short of 5 1/2 centimetres. I've taken this one from the Stitch Shapes dies, and you can see it's the second smallest. If you were using the layering circles, you'd want that one, which is the 4th smallest. These are smaller than those, so that one's second, that one's 4th smallest. Now, let's see if you can see the score lines. You've got a narrow section and a wider section. Slightly narrower on one here that's the same width as that. These are the 2 panels that you want to be scoring in now. So place your die so that it goes from that edge, that score line, to that score line. If you're not using one of these dies and you want to find something yourself, obviously try to make it about 2 1/8 diameter. The important thing is you need to be able to score an arc that's going to go from that score line to that score line and less than halfway across. And I'll show you in a moment why that needs to be less than halfway across. So you want to score that one. There'll be 4 on here. That one. That one. And that one. Okay. Once you've scored them, you then just need to work those to form that fold. So I find it's easiest just to use my 2 thumbs with a finger behind and just fold it on that score line so that you're getting that kind of a shape. And that's why you need it to be not going halfway across. You need to have something left in the middle there. So you need to repeat this once you've formed these folds for all 3 of these pieces. I'm not going to do that because that would be very boring to just watch me doing lots of those. So I have some I prepared earlier. Right, now on one of these I want to put some holes to attach my twine. Now I would say about 10 to probably about 8 to 9 inches, I'd say, something like that, twine. And on one side of one of them you need to put a couple of holes in. So you could use something like one of these punches. If you haven't got one, then take your pick tool and the paper piercer end of it and put 2 holes. One, you want to be about halfway across here and close to your little score line that you've done, and one on each side. Once you've done that, you can thread your twine through those holes, and I find the easiest way is to go back to my scoring tool on the take your pick and just push that through. It normally goes, because when you're on camera it never works. So push that through, and on the other one, on the other side. This is possibly the most difficult part of it. finally, and then you can knot that. That's your loop for hanging. So that one, you can form this one and another one of those into loops like that. So you're lining up the end that's got one small section against the end that's got two small sections, but you want it on that crease. Okay. So now you need to start putting these together. So you want to put it so that the one on the inside, you put one on the inside and one round it. So you put one inside the other. And line it up so that you have a section with the curved score lines there and one there. This will be your flat part that has a join. The other flat part is inside. Now you take your other one. This needs to go over the outside one and inside the inside one. So can you see what I'm doing there? So I'm going, that's my inside circle hoop, and I'm going through that. When you put it through there, you bring it round the outside and through the other side of your inner circle. Okay, I'll do that one more time just to, because I think it's the bit that gets the most confusing. So you've got, I'm holding that by the flat sections and I have the curved sections there. And I have a curved section here and I'm going through that. So it's right through the middle. Out over the outer loop and back in through the middle of the inner loop. Okay. And then form that one into a hoop as well. So it's the same thing, you want to line it up on the score line. So it's the end of this against the score line. Now, because your curved bit is inside, you want to work that round. So you just have to manipulate it until it starts moving, until you can get the curved section, the scored section on the outside again. So if you look at that, I have 6 sides which all have one of these curved sections on. Okay. And now, just because you've already formed these, they should go reasonably easily into the shape you want them. So you're just pushing both sides together until they start to form that. Obviously the last one is always the most difficult because the shape is now becoming rigid. But it's not too difficult. As long as you've formed those well in the first place. And there it is. Christmas bauble. Hope you like it. Thanks for dropping by. See you next time.